And I don't know if he was reaching for the gun or reaching for me, but I was still sitting on the floor at this point in time. And I got up off the floor and I grabbed the gun and I shot him.
When most people are arrested for murder, they're terrified, they're silent. They understand that everything they say and do is being watched, recorded, judged. Shaina Hubers was not most people.
I did. Yes, I did. I can't believe I did that.
In the hours after shooting her boyfriend 6 times, she danced, she sang. She said she'd given him the nose job he always wanted.
One of our last conversations we had that was good was that he wants my best friend who's a dentist to do his veneers and wants to get a nose job. Just that kind of person. And I shot him right here. I gave him his nose job he wanted.
And when she finally faced a jury for murder, she smiled through testimony about the man she killed. She whispered to her attorneys. She appeared relaxed. She claimed self-defense from the very first moment. This is the story of what happened in that apartment, in that interrogation room, and in that courtroom, told through the evidence, the testimony, and her own words. But to understand how it ended, we have to go back to where it began. Who was the man she killed? Ryan Carter Poston was 29 years old, a licensed attorney with his own practice, a son, a brother, a friend. Born December 30th, 1982 in Fort Mitchell, Kentucky, Ryan came from a close-knit family. His parents, Jay Poston and Lisa Carter, had divorced but remained amicable. His stepfather, Peter Carter, became such an important figure in his life that Ryan legally changed his middle name to Carter to honor him. He had 3 younger sisters, Allison, Catherine, and Elizabeth, and by all accounts, he was a protective older brother. Ryan's education took him around the world. He attended international schools in the Philippines and Switzerland before graduating from Indiana University with a triple major in history, geography, and political science. He followed the family tradition into law. His grandfather had practiced for 54 years. His uncle was also an attorney. Ryan earned his law degree from Northern Kentucky University's Salmon P. Chase College of Law, passed the Ohio Bar, and started his own firm specializing in personal injury, passionate about helping people who couldn't afford representation. His former roommate once said he wouldn't be surprised if Ryan ran for Congress by 30. He was that kind of guy. Smart, ambitious, someone people listened to. He loved chess, kept ongoing games with attorney friends. He was a licensed gun owner who kept firearms in his Highland Heights condo. But the word that came up most when people described Ryan was kind. His friend Tom Awadala said Ryan just wasn't able to end it. He was too nice, didn't want to hurt her feelings. His friend Brian Stewart said Ryan felt duty-bound to let her down easy. Everyone who knew him said the same thing. He hated confrontation. He couldn't bring himself to hurt anyone's feelings. He would rather suffer in silence than cause someone else pain. On October 12, 2012, Ryan Poston was shot 6 times in his own apartment. He was 29 years old. That kindness would be tested when, in 2011, Ryan came across a Facebook profile that caught his eye. On paper, Shaina Hubers had accomplished a great deal by age 21. Born April 8, 1991 in Lexington, Kentucky, she was the only child of Sharon and Stephen Hubers. She graduated from Paul Laurence Dunbar High School with honors. At the University of Kentucky, she majored in psychology and graduated cum laude. In just 3 years, she made the dean's list. She was an alumna of Kentucky's Governor's School for the Arts. By the time she met Ryan, she was already pursuing her master's degree in school counseling at Eastern Kentucky University. Friends described her as near genius level, always in AP classes, always getting A's. She loved performing, musical theater especially. People said she was naturally dramatic, but people who knew Shaina well saw something else beneath the polished surface. Defense psychologist Dr. Thomas Schacht testified at trial that Shaina had been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, narcissistic traits, and PTSD.
At the time she shot Mr. Poston, 2012, Ms. Hubers' psychological condition was seriously abnormal.
One friend said that emotions, whether good or bad, just consumed her. Shaina Hubers and Ryan Poston. On paper, they seemed like a match. She was beautiful, brilliant, driven. He was handsome, successful, kind. What looked like a fairy tale was about to become something else entirely. So how did two people with so much promise end up here? One dead, one in handcuffs. It started with a Facebook message. In 2011, Ryan was scrolling through Facebook when he came across photos of a young woman on spring break. She was friends with his step-cousin, Carissa Carlisle. He sent her a friend request. Their first exchange set the tone. They met in person in April 2011. She was 20, a psychology student about 80 miles away. He was 28, an established attorney. Within months, she was meeting his family, spending holidays with them. But almost from the beginning, there were signs. Text message records showed a significant imbalance in communication. For every text Ryan sent, Shaina sent 50 to 100 back. Ryan's cousin, Carissa Carlisle, testified that Ryan told her Shaina once sent 75 texts in a single hour. She would show up at his condo unannounced. She still had a key, and according to testimony, she refused to leave when asked. Ryan's own messages painted a picture of someone who felt trapped. He messaged his cousin Carissa, "This is getting to be restraining order level crazy. She's shown up at my condo like 3 times and refuses to leave each time." He told a friend on Facebook, "Literally probably the craziest person I have ever met. She almost scares me." According to testimony at trial from family members under Kentucky's Domestic Violence Protective Order statute at the time, the law required people to have lived together or been married to qualify for that type of order. Ryan didn't qualify. Their relationship followed a documented pattern. Ryan would try to end things. Shaina would show up, refuse to accept it, and Ryan, too kind to be cruel, would take her back. One night, Ryan showed up at his father Jay's door at 12:30 a.m. with an overnight bag. He said he needed somewhere to stay. Shaina was at his condo and wouldn't leave.
He said, "Dad, she will not leave my house." He said, "Can I spend the night here?" And I said, "Ryan, it's your house." I said, I "Make her leave your house." He said, "Dad, it's just easier this way."
As Jay shut his son's bedroom door that night, he could hear Ryan's phone buzzing continuously with texts and calls from Shaina. In the morning, Jay checked on his son. Ryan was lying face down, head buried in his pillow. Jay gave him a hug and said, "I love you." Ryan mumbled back, "I love you too, Dad." In a text to a friend presented at trial, Shaina wrote, "He says he's only with me because I make him feel awful about it when I cry." But the most chilling evidence of what was to come wouldn't surface until after Ryan was dead. 11 days before the murder, Shaina sent a text message. October 1st, 2012, Shaina texted her friend Christy Euler, "When I go to the shooting range with Ryan tonight, I want to turn around, shoot, and kill him and play like it's an accident."
The next day, did you think anything of it?
No.
2 days later, did you think anything of it?
No.
11 days later?
When Shaina Hubers put 6 bullets into Ryan Poston, did you think about it then? I did.
Euler testified at trial that she didn't pay attention to it at the time. She wishes she had. On the day Ryan died, sales clerk Tara Filiator testified at trial that she overheard Shaina telling a coworker she was going to kill her boyfriend. The defense challenged the statement, but Filiator stood by her account. Hours later, Ryan was dead. But what may have been the final trigger was a woman named Audrey Bolte, Miss Ohio USA 2012. Ryan had connected with her on Facebook. They'd been chatting for months, and on October 12, 2012, they were finally supposed to meet. Drinks and pool at a bar in Milford, Ohio, 9:30 p.m. Digital records showed that hours before Ryan was shot, Shaina had searched for Audrey Bolte online. She downloaded a photo of her. Ryan never made it to that date. What happened next would be captured in a 911 call, a crime scene, and 3 hours of interrogation footage that shocked investigators. The night before the murder, October 11th, Ryan and Shaina spent the evening at his condo watching a political debate. Around 3 a.m., Shaina called her mother crying, claiming chest pains. Her mother drove over and let herself into Ryan's apartment. Ryan woke up to find them both in his living room. The next day, Shaina told Ryan she was angry he hadn't taken her to the doctor. She claimed her mother had taken her and she'd been given medication for blood pressure. According to testimony, there was no evidence of a doctor visit. No prescription, no medication. Ryan went to work. He confided in his stepfather, Peter Carter, that he was finally ending things with Shaina. He was excited about his date with Audrey Bolte that evening. That evening, Shaina showed up at Ryan's condo. She still had a key. At some point, Ryan locked himself in his bedroom. Shaina's Google search history showed she looked up how to unlock doors and how to pick a lock with a bobby pin. She got in. Ryan moved to the kitchen table, and then Shaina grabbed his gun. She shot Ryan 6 times with his own Sig Sauer .380 pistol. The forensic evidence told the story.
When she shot him here, 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 and here.
The first shot struck the right side of his head at a downward trajectory. He was seated, not standing, not approaching her. She was standing beside him, above him. He fell forward onto the table, then to the floor. She continued shooting his armpit, his back, his head, some shots from fewer than 2 feet away. The forensic expert testified, "There is no way that from the ground that shot occurred. It's just not physically possible." The expert concluded that based on the trajectory and positioning evidence, Shaina Hubers was the aggressor. The first shot alone would have been incapacitating. The remaining 5 were overkill. After the shooting, Shaina did not call 911 for 10 to 15 minutes. Phone records showed she called her mother first. When she finally called emergency services, she said, "I killed my boyfriend in self-defense."
I killed my boyfriend in self-defense.
Okay, hold on. What did you kill him with?
A loaded gun in the house.
He was twitching and I knew he was going to die anyway. And he was making funny noises, so I shot him a couple more times just to kill him. Are they going to arrest me? I'm not a murderer. Ma'am, I just killed him. Within hours, Shaina Hubers would be in a police interrogation room. What happened next would become some of the most disturbing footage investigators had ever seen. Shaina Hubers was taken to the Highland Heights Police Department the night of the shooting. Officers read her Miranda rights. She asked for an attorney. Then she continued talking.
I don't have any serious injuries that I could have had.
Right.
And I shot him in self-defense because he's done stuff before where I've hit my head on a headboard and could have died.
For nearly 3 hours, officers later testified they had to rotate in and out of the room because of her continuous talking. This was her version of events.
He was throwing me around the room.
He was throwing me around the room. He picked me up by my face. He pulled me by my ponytail. He threw me against the bookshelf, calling me a hillbilly. But the crime scene told a different story.
What would you have expected to see if there was a struggle over top of the table?
I would have seen things knocked off the table and knocked over on the table.
Was it?
No, ma'am.
The bookcase had items undisturbed. Bullets standing upright, pipes neatly arranged, books in place. The table where Ryan was shot showed no signs of disturbance. Medical examination of Shaina showed no significant injuries consistent with her account. Prosecutor Snodgrass questioned officers about Hubers' behavior during the interrogation.
What was the defendant saying that she was going to do with Ryan?
She says she's going to go to the shooting range with him.
And what does she say to her friend right after she calls Ryan Poston an evil person?
She says when she goes to the shooting range with Ryan tonight, she wants to turn around and shoot and kill him and play like it's an accident.
At any point in time, when you were with Miss Hubers, did you see tears?
No, ma'am.
Do you remember her at times laughing? I do. Do you remember her complimenting your teeth? I do. Do you remember her being concerned if anybody was married? I do. She had just shot a man 6 times, and she was making small talk. And then Shaina said something that would follow her through 2 trials.
One of our last conversations we had that was good was that he wants my best friend who's a dentist to do his veneers and wants to get a nose job. Just that kind of person. And I shot him right here. I gave him his nose job. He wanted.
He's very vain. One of our last conversations that was good was that he wants to get a nose job, and I shot him right here. I gave him his nose job he always wanted. Police Chief Bill Birkenhauer was watching from another room. My jaw dropped. Did she really just say that? The statements kept coming. I don't know if anyone will ever want to marry me if they know I killed a boyfriend in self-defense. Not funny, she laughed. But perhaps the most damning footage came when officers stepped out of the room. The camera kept recording. She paced around the room. She danced. She twirled. She pirouetted. She snapped her fingers. She sang Amazing Grace. And then she said out loud, I did it. Yes, I did it. I can't believe I did that. I'm so good at acting. Prosecutor Michelle Snodgrass. I've seen people in shock over the years. I've never heard that somebody pirouettes when they're in shock. That someone sings when they're in shock, that someone snaps their fingers and says, I did it, when they're in shock. Officers testified about another pattern they observed. When someone was in the room with her, Shaina would display distressed behaviors, crying, wailing. When alone, she stopped instantly. Officers testified that they observed no actual tears during these displays. After the interrogation, officers had heard enough. Here's what's going to happen right now. With everything that we have, I'm going to have to charge you with murder. What degree murder? There's no degree. Shaina Hubers was charged with murder. Her bail was set at various amounts. Initially $2 million, reduced to $1 million, then raised to $5 million before being revoked entirely. Unable to post bail, she remained in the Campbell County Jail until trial. With this mountain of evidence, Shaina Hubers went to trial in April 2015. On April 13, 2015, 2.5 years after she killed Ryan Poston, Shaina Hubers faced a jury. The prosecution, led by Commonwealth Attorney Michelle Snodgrass, presented the forensic evidence, text messages, interrogation video, and witness testimony. The defense argued self-defense, that Ryan had been abusive and Shaina had no choice.
You'll hear terms like borderline personality, post-traumatic stress disorder, psychological outcomes, and how those are expressed in her experience and behavior.
But what observers noticed wasn't just the evidence, it was Shaina herself. She smiled at her defense team and family members. She showed little visible emotion during testimony about Ryan's death. She appeared relaxed. Prosecutors played the interrogation video for the jury, all of it. They saw her dancing, they heard her statement about the nose job, they watched her snap her fingers and say, I did it.
Isn't it enough to show you that she danced? That she came from evil or malicious purposes? How about this? I did it. I did it.
They saw her behavior change when officers left the room. 3 women who shared a cell with Shaina testified at trial. Defense attorneys challenged their credibility, as is common with jailhouse informant testimony. Cecily Miller testified, she laughed about shooting him in the face and giving him the nose job he always wanted. She cackled. Holly Nivens testified, she told me Ryan raped her, that he was abusive.
What did she tell you?
About the rape and the abuse, that it did not happen that night.
Then she admitted it didn't happen. She said Ryan's family had a bunch of money and could just buy a new child. Donna Dooley testified, she knew she was being recorded on the phone with her mother. She'd hang up, wink at us, and smile. She told us she was such a good actress. She had no remorse at all.
Yeah, if somebody tells you they pulled the trigger to somebody's face, they're guilty.
Right.
The prosecution called Audrey Bolte, Miss Ohio USA 2012. She told the jury she and Ryan had planned to meet that night. She waited at the bar. Ryan never showed up. The defense argued Ryan was physically and emotionally abusive, but there were no hospital records documenting abuse, no police reports, no witnesses who testified to seeing Ryan hurt Shaina. Shaina did not testify in her own defense during the first trial. The jury deliberated for approximately 5 hours.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Shaina Hubers, guilty of murder under instruction number 5, signed by the foreperson.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Shaina Hubers, guilty of murder. After the verdict was read, observers noted Shaina's expression changed. At sentencing, Shaina was given a chance to speak. I'm sorry to my family and friends for letting them down. I'm sorry for the money my parents have had to spend on attorneys. I feel like I was led on. I feel like I was manipulated, used, and abused. She apologized to her family. She apologized for legal fees. She did not mention Ryan. She did not apologize to his family. She did not say she regretted what happened.
But I listened to everything that was said in here. I never heard a word or a look that said, "I'm sorry," to these people back here.
Judge Fred Stein, this case comes down to one phrase, just once to hear the words, "I shouldn't have done that." But I listened to everything that was said in here. I never heard a word or look that said, "I'm sorry," to these people back here. What I think happened in that apartment was little more than cold-blooded murder. 40 years in prison, parole eligibility after 20 years.
They brought us our justice, so thank you.
For Ryan's family, the verdict brought some measure of resolution, but less than a year later, everything changed. In August 2016, crushing news. One of the jurors was discovered to be a convicted felon. He had fallen behind on child support payments in 1992 and pleaded guilty. He claimed he didn't know this made him a felon. Under Kentucky law, felons cannot serve on juries. Shaina Hubers' conviction was overturned. A new trial was ordered. Jay Poston, Ryan's father. Life isn't fair and this is ugly, but we will do what we have to do. Shaina Hubers had another chance, and this time, she was going to take the stand herself. While awaiting her second trial, Shaina made headlines for getting married. June 7th, 2018, she married fellow inmate Unique Taylor in a 2-minute jailhouse ceremony. The marriage lasted less than a year. For her second trial, Shaina had a new lawyer, David Eldridge, and a new strategy. Instead of self-defense, he argued extreme emotional disturbance, a legal defense that could reduce murder to manslaughter under Kentucky law. And this time, Shaina testified. On the relationship, he wanted me to be his incognito girlfriend. He wanted me to talk 25% less. On their private life, Ryan always put pressure on me to orgasm. He ordered things off the internet. He wanted me to get a collagen injection inside my vagina called a G-shot. On the night of the murder, I recall Ryan standing over me, grabbing the gun, pointing it at me and saying, "I could just kill you right now and get away with it. Nobody would even know." But on cross-examination, the prosecution exposed the holes in her story. You do not take rejection well, do you? If I killed Ryan over rejection, he would have been dead. I asked you if you were rejected by him. I've been rejected, but if that were motive, there'd be a graveyard. When confronted with her recorded statements from the interrogation, the nose job comment, the dancing saying, "I did it," she was questioned about them on the stand. After 16 days of testimony, the case went to the jury. Again, they deliberated for approximately 5 hours. Again, they returned with the same verdict: guilty of murder. This time, Shaina buried her face in her arms. At sentencing, Jay Poston addressed the court. "I'll have another 35 or 40 Christmases without my son. My grandchildren were stolen from me. I will never hold my grandchildren. She has decimated my life." This time, the sentence was life in prison. Parole eligibility after 20 years. Because Shaina had already served 6 years, her first parole hearing would be in 2032. The legal battle was finally over, but for Ryan's family, the grief never ends. After the police released the crime scene, Jay Poston went to his son's apartment. The blood was still on the wall and floor. I lay down next to it and screamed at God, at everything. He went back every day. One day he decided he had to scrub the blood away himself. I just felt this need to take care of my son like I had for years. I didn't feel like it was right for anyone else to do it. I didn't want some stranger coming in there and seeing what happened to my child. I wanted it to go away. It is horrible to wake in the dark of night with your heart feeling as though it is going to burst from your chest and tears running down your face. Since Ryan's birth, I gauged my well-being by his. My plan in life was always that I would be with my son. I would be a doting grandfather. My name ends with his name. He was my lineage. He was the last of me. Jay adopted Ryan's dog Oliver and takes him everywhere. At sentencing, Ryan's sister Katie Carter took the stand holding a teddy bear made from Ryan's shirt.
Because I'm 30 years old, I don't need to bring a teddy bear up with me. This teddy bear was made by Jay's sister.
I'm 30 years old. I don't need to bring a teddy bear up with me, but this is Ryan's shirt. She played his voicemail. The only recording of his voice the family still has. Ryan's friend Adam Blele There is no satisfaction, there's no relief. I hope her day today is worse than it was yesterday, and I hope tomorrow is worse than it is today. She took a friend of mine for no reason at all. There'd be no penalty severe enough for there to be justice. For those who loved Ryan Poston, the sentence brought some closure, but nothing can fill the empty chair. Shaina Hubers is incarcerated at the Kentucky Correctional Institution for Women in Pewee Valley, Kentucky. She has been in prison since October 2012. She was 21 years old when she was arrested. According to the Kentucky Department of Corrections and multiple news reports from her October 2018 sentencing, her first parole eligibility date is 2032. In September 2020, the Kentucky Supreme Court unanimously denied her appeal. Shaina is now on a prison pen pal website. She describes herself as a tall and thin brunette, standing at 5 feet 9 inches, 115 pounds, with lots of long, wavy, golden brown hair, big steel blue doe eyes, and a wide, bright smile to us. Her message reads, "I have grown much since the 21-year-old girl I was in October 2012. I'm looking for someone who won't judge me by my past, but by the woman I've become. No one really knows or can explain what I've been through besides me." To this day, Shaina's mother maintains her daughter's innocence. She's far from evil. Shaina has a heart of gold. She's like her mommy, a loving spirit. I'll draw my last breath helping that baby. She doesn't deserve this. She's done nothing wrong. Two mothers, one lost her son, one lost her daughter to prison. The evidence determined which one was telling the truth. Shaina Hubers shot Ryan Poston 6 times. In the interrogation room, she said she'd given him a nose job. On camera, she danced and amazing grace. In court, she smiled. 2 separate juries heard the evidence. 2 separate juries returned guilty verdicts. Judge Fred Stein called it the coldest act he'd seen in 30 years on the bench. Just once to hear the words, "I shouldn't have done that, but I listened to everything that was said in here."
But I listened to everything that was said in here. I never heard a word or look that said, "I'm sorry," to these people back here.
I never heard a word or look that said, "I'm sorry," to these people back here. Ryan Poston was 29 years old. He was a son, a brother, a friend, a promising attorney. Shaina Hubers will be eligible for parole in 2032. Ryan's family will be there.